On a farm near Serengeti National Park lived an old white horse named Tano. Once a loyal companion to her master, Tano carried goods across the rugged plains for years, her hooves kicking up dust under the scorching sun. But age sapped her strength. Her legs trembled, and she could no longer bear the weight of her burdens. Deemed useless, her owner confined her to a dark, musty barn, neglected and without light or care. One sweltering morning, he tied a coarse rope around Tano's neck and led her into the wild fields near the reserve, her weary hooves dragging through the parched earth, stirring clouds of red dust. The grasslands stretched endlessly, a sea of dry golden blades swaying under a heavy, sultry sky. A single withered acacia tree stood alone, its gnarled branches casting faint shadows. The owner tethered Tano to the tree, gave her a fleeting, indifferent glance, and walked away without a word. Tano's sad eyes followed him, her heart heavy with the weight of abandonment. The afternoon wind tangled her white mane, tugging at her matted fur, but she lacked the strength to resist or cry out. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Tano stood alone in the meadow, accompanied only by the mournful howl of the wind weaving through the grass and the distant calls of night birds. Night fell, and Tano stood in silence, her body racked by hunger and thirst. Her legs shook, old wounds reopened, and blood trickled down her sides, staining her white coat. Insects swarmed, tormenting her sensitive skin, while the cold dew stung like needles, chilling her frail frame. Tano's faint neighs echoed in the vast, unresponsive darkness, a desperate plea for help that went unanswered. The rough rope chafed her neck, drawing more blood, and the old tree offered little comfort, its bark rough against her trembling body. That night stretched on endlessly, as Tano waited for either a miracle or her end, her spirit flickering like a dying ember in the starless void. By morning, the scent of blood and her weak cries attracted a pride of hungry lions, 3 lionesses and 2 males, their eyes glinting with predatory hunger as they crept closer through the tall grass. Tano sensed their shadows but was powerless to flee or fight. Her heart raced, her wide eyes reflecting fear as the predator's golden gazes locked onto her. They circled the tree, growling softly, their muscles tensing for the attack. Tano pressed against the rough bark, trembling, her head bowed in surrender to her fate, her breath shallow and ragged. Just then, the roar of a jeep's engine pierced the silence, its headlights cutting through the dawn mist. The lions froze. 2 rangers, Samuel Queasy and Joseph Mbali, spotted the dire scene and leapt into action. Samuel grabbed his rifle, his hands steady despite the urgency, while Joseph scanned the pride through binoculars, noting their positions. They saw Tano's wounds and the rope. She was no wild creature. With over a decade of experience in Serengeti National Park, the rangers knew they had to act fast to save her from the jaws of death. Samuel fired a shot into the sky, the crack echoing across the plains like thunder. Joseph shouted and clapped, creating a cacophony that unnerved the lions, their ears twitching in alarm. One lion roared in defiance but retreated with the pride into the thorny bushes, their silhouettes fading into the dawn's golden haze. The rangers approached Tano, their hearts heavy with empathy. They untied the blood-soaked rope, inspecting her wounds with gentle hands. "She's a domestic horse, abandoned," Samuel said softly, stroking her matted mane, now streaked with dirt and blood. Tano's tearful eyes met theirs, as if she knew she'd narrowly escaped death. "We can't leave her here," Joseph declared, his voice firm with resolve. Samuel agreed, and they gently guided Tano to the jeep, supporting her frail body. Despite her aching legs, she walked, reassured by their presence, her steps hesitant but trusting. Joseph laid an old blanket in the jeep's bed, its worn fabric a small comfort, and Samuel helped Tano climb aboard, her hooves scraping the metal with a soft clank. They radioed the Conservation Center's veterinary station to prepare for their arrival. As the jeep rolled through the grasslands, the blood-stained tree receded into the distance, a silent witness to Tano's ordeal. Tano gazed at the sky, where soft morning light filtered through the clouds, casting a gentle, hopeful glow. The Rangers exchanged a silent look, united in their resolve to give her a second chance at life. At the center, veterinarian Anna von der Merwe and her team sprang into action, their faces etched with concern. Anna cleaned Tano's wounds with care, disinfecting them and administering painkillers to ease her suffering. "She's lost blood, but no serious internal damage," she told Joseph, her voice steady but laced with worry. Samuel offered Tano clean water, which she sipped gratefully, her parched throat easing as she drank slowly, savoring each drop. Tano was placed in a sheltered pen with soft straw bedding and a sturdy roof to shield her from the elements. Samuel and Joseph visited daily, bringing carrots, apples, and handfuls of fresh hay, their visits a ritual of care. At first, Tano was wary, her body tense, but soon she warmed to them, her ears twitching as she nuzzled Samuel's hand, seeking comfort. Anna tended her wounds daily, applying soothing ointments to ease years of pain and neglect. Within a week, Tano stood stronger, walking the yard without trembling, her steps growing surer under the warm Serengeti sun, her coat beginning to gleam once more. "She's healing faster than I hoped," Anna said, her eyes bright with pride as she watched Tano take tentative steps. The staff grew fond of Tano, calling her their special guest and sharing stories of her resilience. Nia, Anna's young daughter, drew a vibrant picture of Tano labeled Brave Horse, pinning it to the pen's wall with a child's pride. Joseph refurbished an old stable behind the center, ensuring Tano had a permanent home with fresh bedding, a shaded trough, and a small patch of clover to nibble. On golden afternoons, Samuel led Tano on walks through the yard, where she roamed among acacias and wildflowers, their petals swaying in the breeze. Her eyes, once dulled by despair, now sparkled with life, reflecting the vibrant colors around her. Despite her scars, Tano had crossed a painful threshold into a place of care and love. Samuel spoke to her like an old friend, sharing tales of patrols, the shifting rains, and the stars that blanketed the Serengeti at night. Tano's ears flicked, as if she understood his words, her bond with him growing stronger. Joseph often sat by her pen at dusk, sipping tea and stroking her mane, now soft and clean. "I had a horse like her once," he confided to Anna, a wistful smile crossing his face as memories surfaced. Samuel took her to the back lawn under a brilliant blue sky, the sun warm and inviting. He removed her reins and said, "You're free now, but stay close." Tano neighed joyfully, galloping in wide circles, her hooves kicking up earth, before returning to Samuel's side. She had no desire to leave the place where she was cherished and protected, her heart tethered to those who saved her. Joseph chuckled. "She's chosen us. No need for a halter." Tano became a beacon of the center's compassion. Thank you for reading Tano's story. Please like and subscribe to support our efforts in sharing tales of compassion and survival.